Get a boiling pot of water, salt it, and go ahead and put that black bean pasta in there and bring it down to a rolling boil, about medium heat, and keep it covered for about 8 minutes. Next up, you want to get a red onion, cut it in half just like I did, peel out the outer layer. Next up, you want to put it flat on the ground, cut off that little thing right there, and then make little slits like the way I'm cutting it right now. And then what you want to do, put your hand flat and then just cut it like that. Next up, you just want to start dicing. And what happens is if you do all those cuts successfully, it should look like this. Just go ahead and mince some garlic. Next up here, you want to grab some oregano. You can use any other herb of your preference. I just really like oregano. And then once you have that, just try to mince that up as fine as you can. So once the pasta's done, you just want to empty it out in a colander like that. You want to rinse it under cold water as well. Get any of that, the extra flour off of it. You don't want that. And next up here, you have a saucepan. Go ahead, put some butter, red onions in there, drop in your garlic, and you want to have this at a very low heat. And you just want to let this chill. Drop a tiny bit of oil. Drop some salt. And you're going to start sweating out the garlic and onions. And there's going to be an absolutely unbelievable flavor. So now that it's simmering just a little bit, feel free to add some wine and let that boil down. You don't want to add too much. So next up here, I'm taking the salmon and I'm just cutting it like that. I'm doing some slits in it. You don't want them too deep, but you also want them to cover the back. And you want to make these slits depending on how big your salmon is. If it's a big fillet, you might need 2 or 3. If it's a small one, you just have to do 2. You want to salt the insides as well, and salt the back, salt the sides, salt it all. So back to the saucepan here. I've had this simmering for just a couple minutes. I added some cream. And then here is just some lemon juice that I added, because this is like a lemon butter garlic sauce. And then I just threw in my oregano right here, and I put in some more butter. keep moving that around. Here I'm just tasting it. Next up here, I have a pan on medium heat. I put in some oil and I just dropped in the salmon away from you. I'm doing this with a spatula. I'm not applying much pressure. I'm just having the spatula be there because the salmon sometimes buckles up and you don't want that to happen. So don't really apply any pressure. Just have the spatula just tiny bit just to hold it in place. And then after about 30 seconds or so, you can remove it, salt it, pepper it, put whatever seasonings you want. I'm using salt, pepper, and onion powder. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually flipping on the salmon. It's about halfway. What you want to do is put it up here to its side so it cooks the little bumps right there. And what I'm doing here is I grabbed a spoon and I'm taking the oil that it was cooking in and I'm just basting it and putting it on top and let that simmer inside, and it really gets, you're cooking the salmon in its own juices, and it's an absolutely wonderful process. You don't have to do this, this just adds that next layer of flavor. And what I'm doing here is I'm flipping the salmon to its sides because I like it nice and crispy on the outside, but nice and tender on the inside, and fatty and succulent. So the salmon is now done. I'm just taking the sauce off and I'm just drizzling it all over the salmon. This is absolutely wonderful. You guys are going to have your minds absolutely blown. So now what I did here was I just took the pasta and I put it in the actual saucepan. I'm getting the sauce nice and sauced up. And putting the pasta all over. I made way too much pasta, by the way. I don't recommend you make this much. And here is the salmon. It is absolutely wonderful. Taking a nice bite out of it right now.
This is way too pleasurable, bro. Shut off the camera. Shut off the camera.